Hey, what's up, Inspirators? It's your boy Tony D. TonyDoyleInspires.com. Just wanted to check in with you real quick. On this video, wanted to talk a little bit about expectation and micromanaging the universe. What not to do, right? So we'll talk about some universal laws and a couple Abraham Hicks teachings, which should give us much more comfort, and maybe we can get into it a little bit and just really show it, see how we can use that in our everyday life. So, once again, this is the Inspirate channel. I'd like to welcome you here. If you have not already, please subscribe. If you like the video, press the like icon. Hit the little bell notification if you want notified when new videos come out. We are dedicated to making videos every single day for at least the next year, more if you like it. So check that out. Once again, it's NSPR8, both on YouTube and in Facebook groups. Come check us out, TonyDoyleInspires.com. All right. Business aside, let's get into this. I want to talk a little bit about all of this, and I'm going to give you some background story about how it come to pass. So, as many of you guys know, I was planning this weekend to be in Chicago with Abraham Hicks, attending their workshop with my good friend Alan from Las Vegas. And originally my girl was supposed to go, and it was going to be a great weekend, hotels and all that. So, that being said, that was the intention we set. And my expectation was high because I always get what I am trying to manifest, right? So, I knew it was going to happen. So, and we'll get into the other part here in just a second, but let me get this background out. So, this is how it came up for me. So I was supposed to be on my way. Actually, I was supposed to be in Chicago already. Workshop's done. Alan said he had a great workshop. Can't wait to hear details of what Abraham and Esther and the group talked about there. I'm sure we'll get some info on that. But like I said, the expectations were high. I was going to do some coaching. Alan was flying up there from Las Vegas. My girl was coming up there for her first time to go to Abraham Hicks. So it was going to be awesome, Had it all planned out, of course, as always, Capricorn that I am. But here's the thing. Early on, signs started coming up that maybe this wasn't the week, Maybe this wasn't the time to get all this done. So first thing happens in the family. There's issues going on, and probably really not a really good time for all of us to leave the city. Just because, one of the family members is having some health issues and all that. So it was already going to be awkward. So that was first and foremost. We kind of got that squared away, got to push through that weirdness. And so when my girl went to buy her ticket, sold out. So there was sign number two that something was weird going on. My expectations were not being met. What's going on, right? So, but even with that, I still forced on. I'm going to make it happen, right? Push through. This is my Abraham weekends. I don't miss Esther when she comes to Chicago. My boy was flying up. I had coaching stuff set up. I was going to be staying with my brother, so I was going to be able to go meet with the family and all that. So it was going to be a good weekend, right? So anyway, so I pressed on, still yet with my plans. So my girl was not going to be able to go. She was going to stay, take care of the family stuff. I was going to go ahead and go to Chicago No problem at all. I live about 4.5 hours south of Chicago. I used to make that trip every single weekend to see my son. So that is not a hard drive for me. I'm super used to it. No issues with that. So, you know, I was still ready to go. As you guys have seen, I posted a video earlier in the week. A lot of stress is going on at one of my jobs. I help kids and stuff, and a lot of stuff was going on. I was looking forward to a reset, honestly. Looking forward to getting back with Alan. Hadn't seen him, since we left Vegas. Um, Doing coaching, the thing I love up there, and of course Abraham. Always good to go to the source, right? Dip in the well, straight from the source's mouth, as they say. So that was the plan. I was still pushing along, even though signs kept coming, and you know I should have probably evaluated better, got a little more clarity on that, but I wanted it to happen, and I was determined to will it to happen. So what happened was Friday came. I got the notification from Alan. He was boarding his plane. He was headed to Chicago. My plan was to work about a half day on Friday and then drive up to Chicago from Indiana, where I live, about 4.5 hours. You know, still would get there in time. I was going to stay with my brother, his family, hang out with them, meet up with Alan Saturday morning, do the Abraham Hicks conference. Um, Probably grab a meal afterwards with him as well, and then kind of figure out the rest of it as we go. Still in my plans, you know what I mean. So Friday came. Right off the bat, it was already weird, which never happens for me. Like my plans usually go like clockwork. Um, was not going like clockwork. Things were going on. There was an issue at one of the schools, and the kiddo in question um, is somebody I have strong rapport with, somebody I've been working with for 3 years. I mean, he's only a third grader, but I've been working with him for a long time, and I'm able to help him de-escalate. I'm one of the few people that he listens to, even when he's um, in one of his need for intervention. I'll just put it that way. So anyway, this call comes in. So of course I immediately go to the school, still thinking, it's plenty of time. I'll take care of this. Let me get him de-escalated. Make sure he's safe and all that. So go to the school. Sure enough, full anger mode. He is having a full blown episode right there in the school. Had already torn up a classroom. Had a classroom full of kids evacuated to the library already while they were trying to extricate him from the classroom. So, I of course briefed with the school, did what I'm supposed to do. Um, Entered the scene. He looked at me. He definitely knew who I was. We had eye contact, but he looked so sad and so lost inside of his own eyes and inside of himself. And he has a lot of trauma in his background. So I've got a lot of compassion for this kid. Some people don't. He has done a lot of things, and some people look at him as a juvenile delinquent. But me knowing the trauma in his past, I know it's a mental health issue. It's not a behavioral health issue. Different. It's a different path. So anyway, so I stepped in to help him. Like I said, he had torn up this room, and he was pulling or shaking violently about an 8 foot oak um, bookshelf. So he was really not aware of what he was doing much. So he was shaking it, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw it started to fall over on him. So I jumped in front of him, caught the brunt of it. He didn't get hit at all, um, but I got hit pretty good with it, to the point where I ended up going to the ER and having to get um, X-rays and all that stuff for police reports. He ended up having to go to juvenile, um, while he awaited what they were going to do with him. So that's just the background of what's going on, and let me flip it around to what the main overall story is. So all that happened, in this half day on Friday when I was supposed to be, wrapping up stuff so I could head up to Chicago for the weekend, right? So all this happened. Like I said, I ended up at the ER, put me 2 hours behind, but still, yeah, I was trying to push on, you know. Then I was told I had to go back to the office and put in all these reports. So here's the thing: they took him to juvenile, and they were going to keep him there and send him the behavioral health route, which would potentially go through court, and then he could be sentenced to boys' school or any manner of behavioral health interventions there. Um, I was advocating for him to go the mental health route, which would be a long-term mental health stay at a hospital where he could get some treatment, you know. Um, anyway, so I went in and did all the reports to the judge, and advocated, told him absolutely not. I was not going to press any charges against this kid. I know him. He had literally blacked out, you know what I mean, and was just in a rage and could not control himself at that time. So, and that's what I do. I work with kids as an advocate and teach life skills because, even with mental health issues or whatever you might have, we still have to figure out how to navigate this 3D world. All of us have to do that. So, anyway, so I did that, got my reports in 2.5 hours late, but I'm still going to head to Chicago. I'm still going to do what I want to do. I want to get there before it gets dark. And so I head out, I jump in the Infinity. Beautiful day. I mean, perfect weather for travel. Blue skies. I pump up the music and I'm headed to Chicago. So, like, okay, that was a lot of craziness, but I navigated it. Still going to get to do what I wanted to do in Chicago. Headed to Abraham, you know what I mean? Headed to my brother's house, actually, in Oak Park, just north of Chicago. So, heading up there, 2.5 hours into the trip. Once again, this is a 4.5 hour trip. So over halfway, 2.5 hours into basically into Illinois. Phone rings. And the funny thing is, normally when I'm on a trip, I don't even have my phone on because usually I use it as a GPS. So, but once again, this trip was so easy for me. It was something so familiar. I didn't need a GPS. I know how to get there with my eyes closed practically, Straight shot. If you guys are familiar with it, Indiana to Chicago, you can go straight up. Um, Basically, there's one turn, So, in the 4.5 hour trip. So, look down, like I said, my job, answer it. My supervisor. Good news and bad news, right? Good news, the court accepted my plea. My kiddo was going to get to go the mental health route, not the behavioral health route. So felt really good about that. And then, then the shoe dropped. I was going to be the one to transport him Saturday morning. So that was that. I absolutely wanted to be the one to take him to this long-term facility where he'll be locked up for, anywhere between 6 weeks and 6 months probably, while they iron everything out with him, and maybe try some different medications or something. Anyway, so after all of that, 2.5 hours, just a couple hours outside of Chicago, I was turning around, headed back to Indianapolis, or back to Terre Haute, actually, Terre Haute, Indiana. So that being that, I was completely in the dumps there for a while. I'm human. We're all human, right? So what happened? I set myself up for a huge expectation. I refused to recognize the signs that this was not the proper time for this manifestation to come, and I wanted to force the universe to give me what I wanted. I was going to force it to happen. I was going to work hard. So instead of lining up the energy, right, I tried to outwork it. Worked hard, got all this done, did double work, all that to get out and get to Chicago and get to Abraham so I could get my source fix. So, like I said, I was not happy, not a happy camper at all. I was happy that the kiddo got what I was wanting for him, but I had to question myself real quick. Like, why am I not getting this manifestation? This is what I want. I do this every year. Like I said, I don't miss Esther when she's in the Midwest. But so headed back, had 2.5 hours to think. I was in a bad place for a little while, but I put on some music. I was listening to some Luke Bryan Smith. If you guys haven't checked him out, go check him out. Luke's awesome. So I was listening to some conscious hip hop. I was listening to some instrumentals and doing some freestyles and, practicing my affirmation, grateful. Um, I started doing some gratitude and some appreciation. I'm grateful for the knowledge of the God within. Divine abundance flows to me easily. Always sets me right when I start with that. So I started thinking, like I said, I had a long time to think, and I had the music going, so it was just me and the blue sky, and headed back, knowing that I wasn't going to get what I wanted, and kind of questioning like, why is that? Like, what set me up for this fall? As I was looking at it, like, so cycle around. So let's talk about it, okay? So, couple things. First and foremost, since we're on Abraham was top of mind for me. Okay? So what I started thinking of is two Abraham teachings that I know backwards and forwards. I teach it, I coach with it. I've even done lives on it, and we all know it, all of us. So the first one is all is well. All is well. Like, if we really believe that all is well, then why would we get so crazily upset about anything? So picture yourself and whatever might be going wrong in your idea or slow to manifest, those types of things. Something just doesn't seem right in your world, and it seems so devastating at the time. But if you can really get all as well, it really sums it up. And so the other part to that, because sometimes we may not be able to get to all as well because we're recognizing, the physical reality that we're looking at right this second, whether that's the real reality or not. Honestly, it's old news. It's a snapshot of time gone by, but we're looking at it and we're feeling the energy of that, and it's triggering things in us, and so sometimes we can't get to all as well, even if we want to. But I love this, and I'm sure you guys do too. We all know it, we say it, but do we really feel it? So this other Abraham teaching that I really like you to look at closer, and I did for sure, was everything is always working out for me. Everything is always working out for us, right? So if we really believe everything is always working out for us and all is well, the universe is supporting us, right? Then there's no reason to get upset, because if in this red hot minute everything hasn't worked out to the way that we hoped it would, it just means it's not time, right? It just means it's not time. So then I got to thinking, I'm like, there's no reason why any one of those things had to happen this weekend. What did have to happen is this kiddo needed to get what he needed to get, you know? I can see Abraham anytime. In fact, it brought to mind that I have a vision board with an Abraham cruise that I haven't really gotten around to. You know what I mean? I need to focus some energy there. Also, the Charlotte, North Carolina. I've always wanted to go to the 2-day Abraham event. Why not this year? Perfect opportunity. So, I'm only 4.5 hours. I don't need an excuse to go see my brother and his family. I can go see them anytime, you know. And I should, and I will, you know. So also my friend Alan, he flew up there from Las Vegas. I've seen his posts. He said it was a great workshop. He was putting all kind of quotes on there. Can't wait to talk to him. And then I remembered that, hey, we've got a reunion Zoom call coming up with everybody from the Las Vegas workshop, including Alan and Ali O'Shea and Paul O'Shea, and Rob Lee and Anthony, and I hope hopefully Michael Woolhoy, hopefully Laura, hopefully Christy Marie, hopefully everybody shows up. But I can talk to Alan at that point, and we'll meet up face to face. I know we will. Our paths are destined to cross, and we know that. We've talked about that. So once again, everything is always working out, and if it hasn't completely worked out, if the manifestation isn't completely in its physical form yet, it's just because it's still in the becoming, right? I teach this, You guys have heard me say, I have a quote that's floating around the internet that says every single moment is both a manifestation in itself and a manifestation in the becoming. Okay? So we talked about Neville Goddard and, getting the bridge of incidences together, cooperative components. And so let's just talk about the universal law that is a part of. That's called the law of gestation, right? The law of gestation. And what that's about is divine timing of everything. So you can look around all of nature. Every piece of nature bows down to the law of gestation. Everything in its own time. There's seasons, right? Think about it like this. If you were a farmer and you planted a tomato plant tonight before you went to bed, you wouldn't wake up pissed off tomorrow because there wasn't a red delicious tomato already sprouted up, right? Everything is in its own time, Say if your girl, your wife was pregnant, you wouldn't be upset if 4 months in you're like, where's this baby at? It takes 9 months. Everything takes its own prescribed time. Everything's got to be in alignment, and we know that our own energy can slow those things down sometimes in manifestation as well, right? So anyway, so that's the insights I got. Kind of went down a rabbit hole, but I had 2.5 hours to think about it. So hopefully that's insightful for you. But I definitely would like to invite you to look at something in your life where it seems to be going too slow to manifest, whether it's money, a love life. I know a lot of people hit me up about both money and significant others. But take a look at that, and let's use these really 3 different concepts, and how they work together to not get so down on ourselves, for one, and for two, to stay in that positive vibration, because the more positive we can stay, and the more that we don't get in that funky mindset, the easier it's going to come. The easier and quicker, it's going to come. And it's going to just feel right. So, for one, so look for signs. For two, remember, everything's always working out for us. All is well. And if it's not completely worked out how you had really intended it for yet, so if you set your intention that hasn't worked out, then it's not completely done yet. It's still coming to you. It's in the becoming, right? So I have no doubt in my mind that every single one of those things that were going to happen this weekend in my mind will still eventually happen, right? So hopefully that's good insight for you. Check that out in your own life and put that in there. These some common things that we say, but sometimes we say a lot of stuff that we don't really implement, and we don't put to heart, So anyway, that's all I've got for you guys today. Appreciate you tuning into the NSPR8 channel. As always, once again, if you like it, please push the like icon. If you have not subscribed, I invite you to subscribe. Hit the little bell sign so you can get notifications when we get new videos. I am dedicated to making a new video every single day for at least a year, maybe more if you guys like them after that. So, all right. Until tomorrow, peace and love.